Look, right, when the radical left starts embracing something, like fetish puppies taking part in pride parades, I start thinking maybe there are some things you just shouldn't be proud of. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to do them, I'm just saying you shouldn't necessarily do it in public. It's, part of that kind of peak Weimar syndrome that we're currently going through. And I'm honestly starting to think that the fact that now the left is promoting the Satanic Temple as a voice of reason and humanism in the US, there's something about it that I find deeply unwholesome, because they don't really say what they're for, they just say what they're against. They're against theocratic, evangelical dominion of society. Okay, well, yeah, I'm totally on board with this. Totally on board. I completely agree. That's 100% the agenda I would follow too, but I don't feel the need to LARP as a satanic cultist. But for some reason the Church of Satan does, and for some reason the radical left are just loving this. Hell yeah, how the Satanists became the good guys. Yeah, did they? No, I think that's a bit strange, isn't it? I don't know why we should do that. But they're just battling for religious freedom, even though they openly admit they are not religious. They do not believe in God, they do not believe in Satan, and they are not going to follow any religious precepts. They think of themselves as a movement from the Enlightenment, following reason and science. So, again, nothing there that I would object to in principle, but I really don't like the way this is being done. I don't like the fact that the evangelicals put Christianity front and centre in the courtrooms or in classrooms and things like this. I don't approve of that. I agree, we should have secular states. In my opinion, I agree, there is no justification and rationale that isn't partial to Christianity over other religions, and I don't think we should be, but I also don't think Christianity is evil, and I don't think that adopting the trappings of the evil that Christianity considers evil and adopting that as good is actually the answer, because as far as I can tell, it seems to be abandon order and structure because that is tyrannical, and that's what the founder of this Satanic Temple, Lucian Greaves, has decided is his philosophical drive. And there is definitely a time and a place to oppose unjustified, tyrannical overbearance from religion. Definitely. No question of it. But there's something really deeply unhealthy about this, I think. Because I don't think that what Satan is proposing is a complete philosophy. They never really say what they are for, they just say what they're against. And again, I'm quoting him again, he's against the tyrannical authoritarianism of evangelical Christianity. Again, something I can completely get behind. But what are they for? Because it seems to be some variant of anarchism, and it seems to be led by someone who has literally been corrupted by evil. Now, I know it's not fair or fun to poke at someone's appearance because, people generally don't have that much control over the fact that they've got a blind eye or weird visible veins all over their face. But, it just seems to be come on now, And this guy's just being interviewed on morning television in Britain. Oh, yeah, totally the same. Maybe that's a good thing, actually. Maybe. But, do I trust this? Probably not. Do I think this is going to create a wholesome world at the end of it? Probably not. But it is going to fight for LGBT rights and fight to the death for them. And that's probably because half of the people in the Satanic Temple are actually gay, apparently. At least according to his estimates. No problem there, obviously. But why do we need to do a black mass, just out of interest? We've got a charity drive. Oh, that's nice. No one as part of the Satanic Temple would ever deceive people by saying, oh, this bad thing is going to be cloaked in the trappings of another good thing. Look, charity, you can't object to charity, therefore a black mass has to be a good idea. But the thing is, the whole thing about the black mass is it's not really very well thought out. They don't actually have a modern guidebook on how to do one. They might include music, chants, etc., and just for kicks, the desecration of religious symbols. Really? Is that necessary? I don't go around burning Qurans, but I really don't like Islam. I don't go around, desecrating crosses, but I'm not a fan of Christianity either. I don't do anything to Judaistic symbols or anything like this. I just seem to not want to have anything to do with it because I'm irreligious. I don't actually hate the people who conduct these religions, and I don't actually want to take their religions away from them. I just want them to be private. And once again, this is deliberately putting these religions in this form. Sorry, I shouldn't even call it religion, because technically it's not. They don't believe in this. This is all a big LARP, as far as they're concerned. But I don't think that that's the right way to go about this. I think that we should take a more standoffish approach rather than aping the trappings of religion in a way that I wouldn't want to take kids to, you know? I mean, there's an overlying idea that it's a group performing a private ritual. Yeah, I'm sure there is. They're not hurting anyone, and if you don't like it, well, no one asks for your opinion. Sure, but you are promoting it via all these sort of left-wing media outlets. So if you're going to start promoting it, I'm going to give my opinion. But I'm not saying that they shouldn't be allowed to do this, of course. All I'm saying is that I'm not going to be joining any kind of satanic temple because, again, they don't seem to be for anything, and there's something unhealthy about suggesting that the antithesis of something that is not inherently evil, but is being done and performed in an oppressive way, I don't think that's necessarily a healthy thing to do either. And, you know, come on, let's be honest, it's being promoted by the radical left, so there's got to be something pretty destructive about it. Otherwise they wouldn't bother promoting it in the first place, because their whole philosophy is about destroying boundaries. And I'm yet to see how Lucien Greaves, which is his actual real name apparently, which obviously it's his real name, I've yet to see how Lucien has actually managed to construct a positivistic philosophy. What is the good to the Satanic Temple? Is it just ultimate freedom? Because then we put ourselves in exactly the same place as the communists and radical leftists, which is presumably why this guy's getting in bed with them. Because that's not good. You know, not all order is tyrannical, and not all order has to be destroyed. And that seems to be the underlying philosophy of the Satanic Temple, and I think that that's going to lead to chaos, and I don't see how that's a good thing. So, honestly, I think the Satanic Temple's probably just a giant, pointless performance piece done by a philosophy student who has nothing better to do with their time. And the thing is, there's not really anything in the 7 tenets of the Church of the Satanic Temple that I even disagree with. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance to reason. Well, I mean, I suppose that's nice in and of itself, even if they're evangelicals, I suppose. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. Well, I mean, yes, I agree, but it's how we're defining justice and how justice is arrived at that is the question. And usually we arrive at justice using the laws. But it obviously means we have to have a preconceived idea of what is just. So anyway, it's complicated, I'm not going to go into it. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. I mean, again, in principle, but there are many mitigating factors, such as you may have done something that means you're going to have to be locked up in a jail, which is going to be a violation of your right to the freedom of movement. But we're still going to do it, right? We're not going to just abandon jails. We're going to need to do something with all those murderers and pedos, right? Freedoms of others should be respected, including freedom to offend. Totally agree. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of others is to forgo one's own. No. And this sounds an awful lot like, oh well, if you violate someone's rights, then you should lose all of your own rights. It's like, no, that's not how human rights work. You do not forgo your own freedom just because you've unjustly encroached upon the freedom of someone else. That's, again, then there needs to be a process rather than just a declaration here. But anyway, I'm probably overthinking this, but in principle, yes, the freedom of others should be respected, including freedom to offend. Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. Yes, one should take care to never distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs. Oof, totally agree. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. Yeah, I mean, it's sounding a lot like Christianity, actually, isn't it? This sounds like something Jesus could have said. But yeah, I don't disagree. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. Is that what Satan thought? Or is he just annoyed that God is the guy in charge? Like, I don't think that... I mean, don't get me wrong, the Bible is propaganda against Satan, so, it may be that Satan is not being well represented here. But there is also... I mean, this sounds like basically the stuff Jesus would have said, rather than Satan. But it also is couched in a framework that is deeply laden with other meanings. That Satan, Satanic Temple, the phrases and terminology that they use to, and the imagery and the black mass that they do, it's all couched in words and aesthetics that have deeper meaning and that have cultural connotations already. I don't think it's very wise. Like, if this was just like, some new Dianetics or something, like, I could see this taking off quite well. But instead, it's rebellion against the previous order, and I don't know, this is not really any different to what Jesus was saying, and I don't think that the things that we're looking at here are particularly healthy. But then, on the other side of the argument, you also have the fact that Christianity, to an outsider, looks like a death cult. Like, it looks like you're worshipping a guy nailed to a cross. That's not very nice. It's the meaning that's laden into it. And I suppose that maybe it is unfair that we allow the Christians to create the meaning for the Satanic Temple. There's no question of it. But it still feels really unhealthy to me, what's being done here. I don't feel like this is being done from a worthy motivation. It seems to be just giant trolling. And I'm for giant trolling, don't get me wrong. But what are they creating with this? Like, most trolling isn't necessarily meant to be revolutionary. It's not meant to tear down the established order. I think really it's meant to poke at the established order and say, look, this is where you have a problem. You need to fix it. Rather than, fuck you, we're actually for your enemies. That's weird, isn't it? It's a weird way to frame it, especially when it's a giant LARP. But anyway, I'm probably being deeply unfair to the Satanic Temple here, but like, I don't know, man. I just don't feel, and I know I'm saying the word feel a lot because I'm having trouble articulating what it is about this I'm exactly finding objectionable. Because like I said, I've never been a Christian. I've never been religious in the slightest. And I don't disagree with the principles on display here. So what is it that I'm objecting to? And I'm not even sure. I can't even put my finger on it. But all I know is if the SJWs is like, oh, this will be a good way of breaking down more barriers. So maybe we need some. Maybe we've gone a little bit too far. And maybe this is just a way of pushing this further and justifying what we've been doing, even if what we've been doing is turning out to be kind of unwholesome.